Okay. Complex Mind, Simple Man, another installment of Thinking Out Loud. Got my brother, Antoine. You know what I'm saying? Man, we ain't talked in a hot minute.
A
Uh,
minute, bro. It's a minute. There's
yeah.
so much going on.
Yeah, man. It's a whole new aspect of that whole social reality we were on, right? Because,
Right? Yeah,
woo.
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, that more in ways than one, bro. It's like crazy. Like it's like the what was real is now like what you could never imagine could happen is happening.
Yeah. Well, kind of, right? Because you know me, pessimistic, cynical self. I
No,
call this.
no. I mean, you call it, but like it's like okay, like there's no way. Like you be like, there's no way you're gonna really do that, are you? Oh, you motherfuckers really gonna do that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's no way you're gonna really put a pedophile in office, are you? Oh, you motherfuckers gonna do that?
Pedophile, credibly. Wait. We got to qualify this.
Mm.
Credibly accused pedophile, credibly accused rapist, confirmed sexual assaulter, scam artist, con artist. These are things he has been adjudicated on, right? Taking money under the table, over the
Over
table,
the table,
next to the table,
next to the table, with the table,
you know?
by the table,
Yeah,
fuck the
yeah.
table. It's been all that.
But like I keep thinking, man, he he is where he is and what he is, not because of who he is, but because of what he represents. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The people who voted for him, the reason they could take all of that mess and set it to the side is because what he represented for them was far more important than what he was saying to them or doing around them.
And it's like well, it's still it's this is nothing new. Obviously, this is still the same old play, same OG. You know what I'm saying? But it just like we try to forewarn people. We try to let them know. They even put their own playbook out. That's what bothers me. They put their own playbook out and
Yeah. Wrote a book and told us about it.
wrote 945 pages of playbook and said, "Oh, this is what we gonna do." And people are like, "We're not gonna do that."
Yeah.
Like they telling you what they're gonna do.
Yep.
Like that's why at this point I'm like that's why I said the hope is like diminishing because like they're playing you now. They said, look, we're gonna put a playbook out. We're gonna give y'all copies. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna tell you what we're gonna do day one. We're gonna
Yep.
tell you what we ain't gonna do. We're gonna tell you whose rights taken away. We're gonna tell you everything up front.
Yep.
Now when it comes to campaigning, we ain't gonna say none of that shit. We're gonna walk away from all that. We're gonna act like it don't exist. But then day one, then the day of the election, not even the day after the election wasn't even certified. Ah, nigga, we doing all that shit. We gonna do all that. We gonna do
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
We gonna do all that. All that shit is real. We gonna do all that, man.
Everything except
Everything we say
what
we're
we
gonna do. We
said.
gonna do, and then some
Yeah.
more shit.
It's like all the bad stuff. Yeah. We meant that.
Right? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all
We
the
gonna
good
do all that.
stuff, yeah, we can't do that.
We can't
So
do that. No, it wasn't the shit that was in the Project 25. They said all the lowering the grocery shit that wasn't in 25.
nah,
That
it
wasn't
wasn't.
even in there.
It wasn't.
It's like, oh, we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. We're gonna roll that back. We're gonna roll that back.
It's complicated.
But take your rights away. Yeah, we're gonna do that shit.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
That was on page 12. We told you.
That's gonna be we're gonna do that. We ain't got time to do that. We might get to it. Your ad's still gonna be $7. You know what I'm saying? Because once we take when we take about 4-5 million Mexicans back to the country, and you know we damn near bankrupt another $1 trillion. Hopefully the magazine be about $7. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say.
And you know what's really kind of like it's so cut up about it, man. There's a lot of stuff that's twisted, but the immigration thing. Okay, during his first administration, he bankrupted farmers across the country. Then
exact opposite.
He comes back and he's like, "Yeah, let's run that play again.
Let's do it again. Let's do it one more time." I like that. I like it at work.
Yeah, and the people are lined up like, "Yeah, take my vote. Do that."
Okay. Yeah, it's just that, and I still see it. Right, I'm still see it online that the residual because like now that everybody's kissing the ring, like we've lost all social media, so the opportunity to network and put out information It's all it's just, I mean, this is the play that Hitler ran. Right after Hitler created a problem, and then he gave him a solution.
Yeah,
That's the exact same play Hitler ran.
It's also what he did the first time. Like,
right.
He said, I'm the only one that can solve it, right?
Right. I'm the only one got the solution to this. And they believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he created the issue for them.
Right.
Right.
And that's also the thing that Putin did in Russia. He created a problem and he created a solution. He saw the solution. I'm the only one that can do it, and therefore I must be in office forever.
Yes.
Because I'm the only one that can save you.
I'm not done yet. So
I'm not done saving you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and that's what I tell people. It's like y'all think that Trump is going to be in office just for these 4 years and just want to relinquish the power to somebody else. He's not going to do that. His ego won't allow him to do that.
Yeah, his ego won't allow him, but maybe his health will. We'll see. But one of the things about like this whole funny business,
yeah.
And this isn't like to pat myself on the shoulders or nothing like that, but I'm just saying, like, I legit called all this crap. Right? I was like,
I saw it coming.
I was like, but now, like, one of the things you were touching on about the hopelessness of the situation that a lot of people are doing. I don't know a good way to say this because I'm a little too blunt with some of my approaches sometimes. But what did people honestly respect when you didn't try? Right? Like, I've said this to some of my sisters and a couple of the people who move in like the political spaces that I move in. And they're like, yo, I'm just tired. This is crazy. I can't believe that these people did this, despite all of everything. And I'm like, really, how are you tired if you didn't do a whole lot? That's my first one, right? If the only thing you really did was go vote, you shouldn't be tired. Okay. Now it's good that you voted, but that's not like a Herculean effort that you had to put out to go vote, right? You're not tired. What you are is you're disappointed and you might be sad, but you ain't tired.
Right? Yeah, but I think that it's just the economy is tough right now, right? So if it's tough for white America, it's doubly tough for Black America, right? And there's some points where people are getting success, stuff like that. I get all that, right? But the majority of our people are struggling harder than they've had in years. You know what I'm saying? And that's not due to, and I'm not going to point the finger at Biden or blame the pandemic or like that, because there's just certain things that have been done, policies that have been made that just didn't benefit us, right? And continue not to benefit us.
But it's even, for me, it's like, we got to blame the right things.
Right.
Blaming politics is convenient. It's easy, right? Because that's the thing that sits in front of our face. But when I challenge folks, I'd be like, okay, who sets the prices?
Corporations, right? and supply and demand.
The supply chain that they got to deal with, negotiation in the market. So it's the market that is setting your prices. Who sets your salary? Again, it's going to take you right back to your corporations and the leadership of those corporations.
And profit margin.
Exactly. And what are some of the things that have changed drastically in the last, I'd say 30 years? We could go back 40, but I'm going to say 30 years. There's been a hard shift where corporations are focused on shareholder value much more than corporate longevity, right? They're not trying to build a 100-year company. They're trying to build a company that's
as fast as possible and then sell it off.
Exactly. Or that the shareholders are attracted to and will pump money into it so that those in the C-suite and the connected, like the board and stuff, can get great deals.
And bigger bonuses. They want bigger bonuses. That's what it is.
So they're not worried about, can Antoine work here for 20 years? We're all free agents now, right? Yeah. Companies are like, they don't invest in training because people quit too often.
And loyalty's not there anymore.
They don't have any loyalty. First, the companies stop showing loyalty to their employees, and then their employees return that energy and stopped showing loyalty. So now everybody is shifting jobs every 3 to 5 years.
Because that's the only way that someone can move up in the ranks nowadays. You have to job hop to get those salary increases. If you're trying to get a 10 to 15 to 20% increase, you're not going to be able to do it at your job because the actual job is incentivized not to do that for you.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
And you got to fight for 3% now.
Yeah, and they're wanting to give, because they're saying that if they give you 3%, then what do you have to work for? What do you have to work towards? So they're not incentivized to give you exceeds all, it meets expectations or exceeds expectations. They're not giving any exceeds. They're barely giving Mets, and they're damn sure gonna give you needs improvement. Because that way they can keep your foot on their neck and say, okay, and it doesn't matter how much the numbers are. The numbers are never going to matter, because when it comes to corporate greed, there's never going to be enough.
Because it's all about
made enough
profits.
Right. They're not going to say we made enough. Yeah. We made enough.
During COVID, when everything went sideways, they still made record profits. After COVID, they're still making record profits.
They're still asking for more. Right? And still haven't increased the wage.
But the wages aren't moving. And what's even darker about that is coming out of COVID, because they needed to get people to come back to different jobs and stuff. There was an increase at the bottom, right? Which brought some people up to like $12 or $13, which is nothing. Let's just be real in this current economy. Mm-hmm. So they did that. And what did they do? Rose prices across the board.
Yeah, everything went up.
Yeah. But the funny thing is they were going to do it anyway.
Yeah, inflation hit on every. I won't even say that's inflationary. That's just greed, because because inflation doesn't affect apartments. Inflation doesn't affect that. Those are not things that are affected. Those are affected by someone manipulating the market to make it higher so they can make more profit. So
speaking of the apartment thing, which is really, really cool that you brought that up. So I don't remember all the details on it, but I'm a nerd and I sit there and I watch all these different documentaries and exposés. And they were talking about how if you're a real estate owner, you're a renter. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Like you own properties and rent them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
There's that app that they use, a website service that they use that helps them determine what rates they should be charging.
Yeah, that was Zillow.
Well, it's not even Zillow. There's another thing. It's like a subscription thing they can go into. It's like being on MLS, but you're renting.
What they were doing with Zillow, what they're doing with Zillow and Truly and all those, that the houses that were being marked favorites, they were going in and taking those houses off the market and manipulating the market. They were saying if you wanted to go in an apartment or you wanted to rent a house or whatever like that, or you were looking at a house, they would go in and buy those houses and make them rental properties and not for purchase. So they took away 19,000 first time, in that 200 to 100, let's say 185 to $250 range, $250,000 range. They took $19,000 worth of inventory away off the market and made a rental property.
Yo, we're in Metro Atlanta. You can drive by whole new subdivisions, and it'll say a sign that says now leasing. Okay, right. It's absurd. But that's
then on top of that. But then on top of that, a new property. But then they also took the rehabilitated property, the properties that are dilapidated, that are old. Berkshire Hathaway bought everything back from Mercedes-Benz Stadium all the way to 285. So Berkshire Hathaway bought that whole area.
Sit on it, and then they can
and they're sitting on it. They're sitting on it. So, but what happens is the price of is rising up. So now, for a house that we couldn't afford, now we couldn't afford the new development. Now we can't afford to do the renos.
Nope.
We can't afford to do the rental because the rental, before we even get into the rental's already $280,000 for just the tear down.
Because they've already inflated the price of the land.
Right? It's been manipulated. It's been the values are manipulated
among the elites. But my thing about all of this, which is super important, is all of these are economic games being played.
Right. All at the same time.
But who gets the attention and the blame are the politics, because that's what we're told to blame, right? It's like, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. There's a whole nother world of crap happening in the political arena.
But they're working hand in hand at this point, though.
They are, but who's robbing you right now is much closer to us than we think. Who's robbing you right now is your employer. Right?
Oh, for sure.
That's who's really getting you right now. And then we talk about insurance and all those things and how that's spiraling out, right? Because they're all in bed together doing their thing. But the reason why I brought you on today, though, man, is really so we can focus a lot more on the political thing, right? Because and we definitely need to chop it up on all the social and things like that. In fact, I have another video series that I want to get out. It's focusing on Black economics. And so I'm gonna hit you up on that because you know about finance and planning and all that good stuff. But what I'm curious about, and this goes back to what we started, is what's a pathway forward, whether you want to go from Black politics or just left politics, whichever one. When it comes to politics, I can do either of those conversations, right?
Right.
Because, like you said, people are very disenfranchised. But my problem with it is a lot of the people who are so disenfranchised, they were never enfranchised, right? They never actually tried.
Yeah, and I think our people are tired, bro. They're just tired. Where we go to the polls every year, they go, "Oh, this time we round it up. They rally us up. Oh, come on, this time we need to do this. You need to do this." And then they make it seem like it's going to be a windfall every time, right? And then we just keep getting disappointed. We're like, well, goddamn, hell no, we're not doing this no more.
And my thing is, it's not that we've been doing the wrong thing. It's that we've been doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We have not politically matured past. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of what Malcolm was saying, he would tell us.
Here's what I'm telling you. We still believe the game has changed on us. We still believe that the way to garner power for ourselves is to vote. That is not the way to garner power. The Republicans have shown us
wield power.
That they've shown us already that they don't give a fuck about your vote. They care about what goes on the behind the scene that garners the power. Because they made moves and made plays that we were like, oh well, they played a long game, but they played the right game. They got at the state level first.
Yep.
Then it trickled up from the judges on the state level. Then I got the Supreme Court, and it all trickled up. So now we got these Marjorie Taylor Greens that are in Congress and shit like that, and all these Matt Gaetz and shit like that.
5 years ago. And now
it was like, oh, these are jokes. But then we get Trump, who it's like they change the norm every election cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
First it was tea baggers. When I talk the Tea Party, that shit. That you know what I'm saying? The tea bag. You know what I'm saying? They did it. They did it a little bit. Then they came up with the fiscal conservatives party, fiscal conservatives. Yep. Then they went with a little bit more. Then it was like the
Freedom Caucus.
The caucus, and then it was like we got the leftist extremists. Like we got a little Marjorie Taylor Greene there, and they got Matt Gaetz, and then we got the now the MAGA came in. Now it's just it. Oh, let me just say, Obama just said that. Okay, it quickened the pace for them, right? I think when Obama came first, they said, okay, we got this is enough. We've seen enough.
Obama was a commercial break.
Right. It was like, okay, and it scared them because it was like, we can't allow them they're gaining ground. Blackness is being accepted. We don't have nothing to put on him. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, we can't scandalize his name. We know he played all his cards right. There's nothing we can do. So the best we can do is say, hey, I can't believe a president's wearing a brown suit on Easter. I can't believe that's unheard of.
But even within that, it's how easily we are manipulated on an emotional and group level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? All of the things that have been going on have always been going on. We continue to refuse to engage in such a way that we play to win. Right? We've been playing along. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like if we were serious, given our unique history, right, in this country, we should be the most serious out there. But going back to one of the points you had made about, we think politics is the way, but it's not. See, how I view it is politics is warfare without bloodshed, right? Politics is how you decide how resources of a country are allocated.
Right.
So you're at the table sorting out who gets what. But the cost of admission to get in that room is economic and social power. If you don't have economic and social power, you don't have the currency to go sit at the table. And we've been disrupted. It ain't like we've been asleep at the switch now. But
no, I would say one more thing you got to add to that, because this played a very important part of this, Theus. The ability to control the message was huge. That was huge. You know what I'm saying? When Fox News was out front and they could manipulate the media and the propaganda machine was working, bro, that was a huge thing, bro. That dynamic shift, that made people that were just thinking about it, made them an ideology, bro. Made them a religion. Made them
but a huge part of that is our natural, as Americans, our natural cultural way of laziness, okay? Because Fox was able to manipulate their lazy audience.
Spoon-fed it to them. It's spoon-fed it to them.
Yes, but a lot of us, whether you're just talking about black folks or those of us on the left, pardon me, we consume the same mess. Like, you go to your enemy to get your information. I mean, where do you do that at? Why?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
and we did it too.
Against you.
We do it too. Like even the Liberal Party, it gave us wrong information as well. Absolutely. It incentivized us to rally to their causes, to be their political pawns.
Yeah,
pillars. Because and it would be very easy for us to be just like the MAGA party. Because the pendulum, like I said, the pendulum is going to swing either way. It's going to swing either way. Most of the majority of the people are right in the middle. But the pendulum is going to swing onto the far left and to the far right. But the thing about it is, those are the voices that are the most heard. And they're given a voice because it's sensationalized. That's why I said the media is such important. Energy. Right. And that was why I said the media was such an important cog of that, because that made it sound like that's what the majority was saying.
But you know what I'm saying? You know what? I can't blame it all on that, because the majority is that huge chunk in the middle, right? Like that's
but they work together.
Yeah, it's like 60% in the middle, and you got 20 and 20 on your fringes, right?
Right.
But the 220s are extremely loud because they're the most passionate about what they believe in.
Right.
That solid 60 in the middle, they will go wherever the wind blows. And so they just quietly move along.
Or they're just gonna go with one or two issues, and they're not gonna annoy the other issues.
Because they don't. We don't bother digging in and figuring out what moves us. And so you're left with those who are willing to do that, to call the shots. So that's going to be your fringes.
And also what MAGA was very successful with is that they, with those 60% that we're talking about in the middle, they knew they just had to give one or two issues that they were really passionate about, just to touch base on it, and then that would be enough to hold them.
But I think it's even deeper than that, because if it was a normal political situation, then what we were just saying would be.
And we can't say it's not. It's normal. This is the new normal.
Well, this is the new normal, but I'm saying this isn't the traditional norm of the last, say, 40 years. So what we're dealing with right now is an identity issue, in my view, because despite the attack, all right, they used religion to hold some of their followers, even though they warped it to be the exact opposite message of the actual religion, but they warped it so that it could speak to their fears. I really do, and I could be wrong, but I sincerely think a huge motivator in all of this was the glee that non-white people were taking with the browning of America. And it freaked out a lot of white America. Doesn't mean they were racist. It means they became racialist. They became like, wait a minute, what happens to me? And neither party would stop and say, here's how everybody benefits from where you are. Instead, the Democrats would come out and just be like, we're going to take care of everybody. And then you got the Republicans saying, nah, we're going to protect you from them.
Or from the boogeyman. Yeah.
Right. So,
but I think that's a good point. I think that I see what you're saying with that, but it just seems to me like it just like we just can't we sat on the sideline for too long. We sat and we watched this materialize and played with it and kicked it down the road, and then like even in Obama's second term, we've been doing this since the second term of Obama.
I would argue we've been doing it since his first term because
it was first term as well. But when white people, I'm sorry. When white people were talking about when you talk about white people were fearful of the browning of America, well, what happened was like I think the MAGA side felt like, okay, y'all are too comfortable with losing the majority. You're too comfortable with it, and we're not. And then they further stroke the, pitting the poor versus the poor, the worst versus the worst. The immigrants taking your job. All the dog whistling they did. Yeah, all the dog whistling they did. They're eating your animals. I was like, damn, this is a stretch. We never talked about eating each other's animals and shit.
But they used to say that about us coming out of slavery.
Oh, so now we eating the animals. We doing this. I'm like, come on,
for your daughters.
We're coming. We raping the white women. I'm like, wow, y'all just putting it all out. And I was like, okay, they going all out.
Yeah,
right.
But the part of where the issue, I would say, and I don't know, were you approaching it more from like the Black perspective or just the Democratic or
it's not from a Black perspective. It's even different. It's more different for us because we're on the outside looking in at this point, right? We're not the favored minority. They moved on from us,
correct?
Right? They're not inviting us to the table. They don't care if we're at the table or not.
Well, we skipped in the third place.
Yeah, we're because they're courting Asians.
Correct.
They're courting
Latinos of all types.
Latinos.
They put them in one bucket, but Latinos.
Let's just say Latinos from South America, not Latinos from Mexico, or let's say Latinos from other white Latino countries. That can look white.
Yeah, they don't like Americans too much.
Yeah, they don't want Honduras. They don't want none of that. They want Argentinians. They want Colombians, stuff like that look white.
But at the end of the day, MAGA doesn't understand any of that anyway.
Now MAGA don't give a damn about none of that. MAGA want white, all the way white. They don't care.
Right?
Because what's his name? Videk Sharma, whatever his name is.
Swarmy.
They about to give him. They give him his walking papers every week. They tell him to get the hell on.
But he's a self-hating dude. But he understands what he's after, right? And he is fighting for what he's after. It didn't take long after Trump won the election for him to come out and say, "Nah, we need to protect,
H-1B,
right."
Yeah.
So he knows what he's after. He played the game. Everybody knew he was playing the game the whole time. So he was smart about how he did it. My concern with those of us, quote unquote, on the left, and then the Black voter. In fact, I'm just going to talk about the Black voter right now. Is one of the things you just said. We're not the favorite minority.
No,
but logically, we shouldn't be because we have no leverage.
Right.
Okay. So the reason why the Asian community is favored is because one, they're considered exotic to white people. Two, they come from countries with a lot of political clout, right? So Korea, Vietnam, China, right? So these are players, real players on a global thing.
Yeah, they're on trade players. They're on trade. They're right. Big trade partners.
So America respects power, right? So that's one of the reasons that Asians they're making more money, they're doing all things, but also there's a cultural piece of it too, where they drive education. Like we once drove education, they drive education. They are very, very intentional, even to this day, of making sure that their children are pushed in this vein. All right. Now that's a simplistic argument to an extent, because I also think it's important to always remember that the immigrant groups that come over here, they're not, unless it's a Latino group, which is why they're demonized. The other groups, that's not their poor that are coming. All right. These are people who are normally socially advantaged. They got
educated.
Right? So we're not competing against the poor guy. We're competing against an upper middle class wealthy guy, right? But on our side, we've chosen not to really learn about politics. So we've always been victim of it with no recourse. We've just kind of shifted who our master would be. So now it's like, okay, we're going to trust the Democrats to do right by us without enough conditions tied into it. And we, at the same time, didn't do the other pieces you were talking about earlier. We didn't build the economic base, right? We didn't stay on top of how important education is, not for the sake of going to college, but for the sake of being intelligent and being able to take in new views and new things so that you can create new things. And you can, like we've done throughout our history, we've largely taken a break.
Right.
So now we're trying to find a way to catch up, but we're catching up from the back, right? And I'm very passionate about this. I'm trying to build businesses and build all these infrastructures and all that, but I'm doing it from where I know where we at. Right. Like,
but I mean, I'm gonna give you a little pushback on that though, bro, because you have to also understand, like, even though those things that building the economic base and stuff like that, the most important thing they've always and they put billions of dollars at this point is the message. They've shown that controlling the media, controlling the message is the most powerful media, the most powerful weapon that they have.
Well,
because the reason why fact checking was an issue, because it didn't allow them to, the propaganda couldn't go forward if they were being told. That's why every debate, we don't want no fact checkers. We don't want that. We have to debate. You know, every time we come back or the media come back, that's when they came with the fake news. All that stuff was to disprove that what they were saying was incorrect, right?
But that goes into some of the things, though. One, that was
their infrastructure. That was their base. That's where they built it from.
They built it right in front of us. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like we didn't have alternatives. Okay. All this time, we had MSNBC, we had CNN, but we also had YouTube media and all those different things. They were going to do what they were going to do. They had the money, they had the resources, they had all those things.
Yeah.
But we didn't focus on building in an intentional way things on our side. And this is big we, not just black we. I'm talking about left we.
Left we, yeah.
Yeah.
We want to push out more people. We just thought we keep putting more people out there in the vote that the majority would win, and that's not the case.
But that's the most twisted part of the whole thing to me, is that and I'm going to blame the Democratic Party on this part. They know everything that we're talking about. All right. So they knew that they weren't investing in their infrastructure. They knew that overwhelming the polls is not a winning strategy,
and not dealing the message. Yeah, they let the Republicans tell them what their own message was.
Exactly. And when the court cases are going on, like, I knew that at the same time the Republicans were talking about, well, we want to make sure that all valid votes are counted. At the exact same time, they had court cases going to block all the votes. So it's, but people weren't picking it up because we choose big we.
And then also, like, it's almost like also what something that I heard Biden say was that he should have celebrated his wins more. He should have told the world what he really was doing, and he wasn't. Every time Trump does something, he wants credit for it,
even if it's a lie.
And even exactly, even if it's a lie. But that's exactly what the Democrats played it too humble.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell. They let it say, "Oh, well, saying the economy is this, the economy is that." Well, then the economy sucks. And they would. The pushback was like, "No, look at the numbers." People like, "Motherfucker, I don't feel the numbers. Like, I don't know the numbers."
So even within that, and that's a really good one. People are running hard on feelings and emotion. We are flooded with information. Anything you want to know, is literally an AI or Google search away.
Right, exactly.
But we don't want to do that because we're afraid that what we're going to be told will conflict with what we
What we feel. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Biden's team
Exactly.
is correct that the big economy, the macro economy, is doing
better.
good.
Right.
But they deliberately, and like I said, they knew better. But it's an easier way to go because who they're real in politics, what matters is who pays you. Okay. So the people who move the most money to you are the same type of people that move the most money to the Republicans. So
sometimes the same people.
Right? Sometimes the same people, right?
Yeah, same people. They give $1 million to them, give $1 million to them.
Right. Whoever wins, I win.
Yeah,
right?
Duke it out. Yeah, who would duke it out? I got $1 million on them books.
But in so doing, though, they're not even trying to pander or patronize the Democratic base. See, this is where it's funny. Republicans, they are kissing the butt of the mega elite and wealthy and pandering to the poor and working class. Okay. Democrats pandering and kissing the butt of wealthy elites, but they wouldn't even bother pandering to their lower groups because one, the lower groups are very, very varied, right?
Right.
To be a Democrat or on the left is just simply not to be a Republican. Like, we're a whole smattering of things.
Yeah, we're just gay, lesbian. We're all these things.
You can't just come to me and be like, Black Power, and all the rest of the people on the left be like, yeah, Black Power. No, that's not that.
All right, that's fine. Like, okay, that's interesting. I'm not threatened at all. Okay,
yeah, right. So there's that. That's one part of the thing. Plus, and this is my take. I think I'm actually right, but I could be wrong. But intelligence-wise, you have a lot more intelligence on the left than you do on the right. So you can't come to us with a watered-down message because we're going to ask why, and we're going to challenge, and we're going to say, well, what about the queer people? Well, what about the trans people? Well, what about, right? We're going to really go at you. Whereas on the other side, you just got to say, America used to work for us, and it doesn't work for us anymore.
Yeah, what about the white people? That's all that works for them. They got one message that's good. I know as a white American with no degree, I know I'm making less money, and I know somebody. I don't know where my job went to, or what's taking it, or who got it, but I know it's not with me no more.
Right.
So they gave. So well, let me tell you who it went to. It went to the Mexicans. It went to the blacks, and it went to them people. That's who went to it. That's why
you're afraid of DEI, and they come up with a new acronym or slogan.
Oh, every time they come with something.
Right.
And it's usually something that we had first, and then they take it and bastardize it.
Absolutely. But it works because it feeds into the white inferiority complex that's out there, and it's just they can't process.
And the cultural misappropriation, they always appropriate our culture anyway.
But we're the convenient signpost, right? Because one, we're desperate to be accepted. We have been begging to be accepted from the beginning. And it made sense in the beginning because you were, we're enslaved, right? So if you can ingratiate yourself to the people who are your captors, maybe you can get a little better treatment. But here we are outside of that window. And what do we have? We still have, like you were pointing out, those particular celebrities that I will not name, right? Who they going to go show up because they want to be pick-me's, right? And that's why I said there will always be Negroes for sale. But given that, and I'm going to narrow it in just a little bit. When you look at the Black community, we'll start with them, with us. What does the next 4 years look like politically for us? Do you advocate that we put more energy and focus more on how we engage with the Democratic Party? Do you lean more towards it's time for a temporary withdrawal where we figure out what our politics looks like, right? Or is there something else?
I don't think we can afford to withdraw, and the reason I say is because we are America's conscience.
Yes,
we are America's. We're America's. Like, we are the ones who embody America's ethical ideologies.
We're the aspirational people. We're the
we're the
angel on the shoulder.
aspirational people. We're the aspirational people, and I think that we even sometimes save America from itself.
Yes,
right,
and we always have.
And we've done this throughout the time. Yeah, even though they still slap us and hit us in the heads and whatever like that, and knowledge of the tails, we're always holding a mirror to them to show them of their unethical treatment, right?
Which is done,
which they hate, but we do it.
Yeah,
and because even in the '60s, until the marches and the brutality of what was going on, these marches was televised on a national level,
global,
on a global level. That's the only thing that steered the ship towards civil rights.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Bull Connor, so when they seen Bull Connor stopping for people from coming in and beating them down on the steps of the courthouse, and then the beach, and then the massacres at the beaches in Florida, and then all those tragic things that we saw that were televised in the camera. That is the only thing that stood that's the mirror that we put up to America's face.
But here's my pushback with that, though. Because I don't think it was our suffering that caused the change. I think it was they couldn't tolerate having to defend the image, right?
Exactly.
What
they always want to do it in the dark. They always want it in the dark. They want to do everything behind closed doors.
It's okay if bad things happen, so long as
we don't care.
Other people aren't seeing it. You know? Keep it in the, as they say.
Keep it in the family, keep it in the house. Don't if you go, but what happened is now they have an audience and an appetite now where they have. It's not even just white people anymore that are participating. It is now Asians. It is blacks. It is, Japanese people. It is it's Russian. It's on a multiple level now. But
it's kind of like it always has been in a way, right? Because to me, here's my thing.
It wasn't so that you would see. It wasn't like you find all these Uncle Ruckuses around here, right? There's a lot more Uncle Ruckuses now in the world.
You get to see more Uncle Ruckuses.
Yeah.
All right. Because proportionally, I am 100% certain there's no bigger class of pick-me's than there has been in the past. They've always been there. It's just now it's in our face, right? We got it in and always remember.
I mean, even we're talking about the '60s. Even Malcolm X was saying that Martin was a pick-me.
Right, but
I know we're on this holiday, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is like I love me some Malcolm, but even in that phase of his development where he was saying that about Martin, I think we got to take it in some level of context, right? Because
you're right.
Because there's the civil rights movement.
Because they both they came together. They were coming together the same idea.
I'm not even saying that part. Because remember, Malcolm and the nation were still outside of the civil rights movement. They were only concerned primarily with what happened to people in the nation. And then Malcolm started talking about civil rights issues. So he was criticizing civil rights movement people, justifiably so in my view, but he was doing it from the outside. At that time, he was not part of pushing for the change. Okay. So it's easy to stand outside the house and throw the rock. Right. Now, within the civil rights movement, formal civil rights movement, we got the NAACP, CORE, and SNCC, and all those going on.
They were fighting too. There was infighting there too.
So that's why I'm saying, like, when you look at the movement, I think it's super important for us to always remember there are lanes, and you have to decide. The analogy I used recently was there's buses. Everybody is trying to get to better. And there's a lot of buses leaving out to go to better. Now, if you're on the bus that is SNCC or the SCLC, right,
Right.
That's one bus, but you might be
Mm-hmm.
on the core bus, you might be on the nation bus. There's all these different buses, and it's important for us. It's okay to criticize each other in a constructive manner, but always remember that we're doing this in full view of people who hate us.
Exactly.
So if like my politics and your politics are not 100% the same, but
Right.
we're not going to attack each other as we work on it, because we just be like, all right, well, those who line up with Antoine rock with Antoine, and those who
Mm-hmm.
rock with me. And then at the end of the bus ride, we all getting off the bus and getting to work, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm good with the criticisms and all those things that were flowing, and I think we got to get back to that. I think as much as I would love for our community to not need a hero, unfortunately, we are afflicted with a Messiah complex. So we got to figure out where these guys are. They're out there. We got to go figure out where they are and help them as they grow, because we need them.
I'm gonna tell you, like, but that coming from an organic level, right? That's the thing that what enables what the obstacle for that is that now we don't have any outlets to do that. We don't have any outlets to because of the manipulation is going to go on.
Yeah.
We don't have any. We can't to identify those people are going to be much harder, right?
It'll be harder.
They're going to be in different areas, different parts of the world, and they're not going to be able to talk to each other. That's going to be the problem.
They don't need to in one respect. So everything happens within the framework of where we are. So I believe you look at the past to find inspiration, and also there are plans that were in motion that were good plans. And it's not that the plans failed, it was that the people who were working them got killed. Right.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't, even if this is the other path that we have to look at, right? Mm-hmm. Every time that we come together, mm-hmm. every time that we consolidate ourselves and consolidate our power, and we say, okay, we don't need white people, we're not gonna deal with that societal, them as a society, they destroy whatever we have, right? That is the common practice of what happens. We talk about Greenwood. We talk about Tulsa. We can talk about SNCC. We can talk about Push in Philadelphia. All those situations, the Black Panther Power movement, Black Church, all that, all that. And they always put spies within us.
Yeah,
and they tear us from
Nation of Islam. You name
they tear us from the inside. So that's always their play. The infiltration is always their play.
But that's okay.
But we're still talking about how we can go to another level, right? Yes. That's why I think it's a common upon us at this point. If we need, I was thinking about this the other day. If when Twitter was when we had Twitter and then we had TikTok was going down, so like that, I'll say, okay, so how can Black people consolidate their voice? Like, how can we consolidate? And I know that now, culturally, we are everything. Our culture is what they buy, what they take from us, and what they buy, and what they profit off of us. If we put our stamp on it and we say it's culturally, that this is what we like and what we want, we build up your app, we do this, we do that. That's our vibranium, so to speak, or whatever.
In a way, yes, but going into what you were saying and going into what you're saying right now, first, just a slight pushback. We have a culture. And I know you're not saying we don't have
we do have a culture. Yeah, exactly.
We have a culture, but a lot of our people do not recognize that we even have one, right? Mm-hmm. We spend so much of our existence running from our identity.
That's the Negro-European you keep talking. That's you're talking about being Negro-European, yeah.
Right. So I think that's one thing. We got to help our people, young and old, and everybody in between, identify that we do have a culture, and our culture is unique from Europeans. Right now, it's intertwined in a lot of ways because we grew up together, right? And then we have to face that. Also, in the current world, there is no such thing as we just gonna separate from white folk.
No,
you can't do that.
We can't do it. We don't have the infrastructure to do it.
Right. It's not healthy either. Right. Because then you've lined yourself up as an enemy. Right. But they're gonna come at you. Like one of the points you made, they're going to come. Like, I have no illusions You start showing success, we're the first ones they get jealous of, right? We're not even their economic competition, but they're not going against programs. They're not going against the H-1, whatever the visa is, as hard as they're going against wokeism and DEI and affirmative action, right? So we will always be persona non grata. We need to acknowledge that and stop pretending like it's not happening, so that way, an analogy I would use is, like you're saying, they always come, right? So that way we know they're coming. So what do you do? If a bully if you're on the beach and you're building a sandcastle and the bully comes by and he kicks your sandcastle over, but he's too strong for you to fight, what do? Do you sit there and cry? Do you just rebuild, right? Or do you decide, you know what? He didn't kick my sandcastle over 2-3 times. So this time I'm going to build my sandcastle, but I'm going to put a big ass rock in it, right? So now I can't stop, because it's a much bigger force. I can't stop white America from attacking whatever I build, but I can make it so each time you come, it's costlier and costlier for you to do it. Because what we do know about the history of all humanity, but specifically the European culture, is they respect a threat, they respect power. So I'm not saying that they're not going to come knock it down. I'm saying make it hurt when they do. We've never truly done that part. All right.
We've never done that part.
Well, we tried with the slave revolts. We tried, but it was disorganized and it was broken and everything. But ever since then, we've always tried a peaceful revolution. Right. And I'm still, because we ain't ready for a fight, I'm still talking about a peaceful revolution, but it's a guerrilla warfare. Right. So we're always twice the unemployment, no matter how good the economy is. How do we address that? Well, we start more small businesses so that we can hire more of our young men when they get out of prison. We can hire more of our young men when they get out of school. And our women too, right? That's how you address the unemployment part, right? I
think that's what we talked about the other day. We're talking about the entrepreneurial spirit has to be, because like I was telling my dad, like we were much better off in the 60s than we were now.
Because we were fresh out of oppression.
We were fresh out, and then also, and then when out of slavery, we were better off. We've always had advancement, very, very, very rapid advancement. Once we decide to consolidate our power, consolidate and move within our own community, circulate our dollar amongst ourselves more, because we do segregation. Because let's face it, segregation did not serve us. It is not serving. It did not serve us well.
Desegregation?
Yeah, desegregation did not serve us well.
Yeah, it did.
No. It didn't.
Yeah, it did.
It did not. It did not. Because I don't know. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. It was better because, first of all, we naturally segregate ourselves anyway. Let's talk about that. Okay. Yes. We naturally segregate ourselves. Desegregation forced us to try to force us to look at white people as an example and try to emulate that example of success.
No, we chose that.
No, but there are a couple
different ways. No, there are a couple different ways to come out of segregation. And I'm not criticizing those back there because those are our ancestors and I wasn't in the fight, so I can't really, but there were choices made, right? We could have continued trying to build our own little small businesses and we could have made our own Woolworths.
But we did.
But let's not pretend that had we done that, they wouldn't have tried to tear it down anyway. The point we were just talking about.
And they did. Exactly. You're right. They exactly did.
And let's not also forget who we're up against. If you were once viewed, we're the group that was once viewed as not even being human to them. All right. They kept our people as pets in a most base, disgusting way to put it.
Right.
There are two groups in America that were completely dehumanized: the indigenous American and the descendant of African slaves. All right.
So, I would say the indigenous Americans were treated at a better than chattel slavery. Yeah.
Ooh, because here's the difference. One, we can't really compare pain. I get that.
But yeah, I get it.
They dealt with outright genocide. We to us, though, we were a conquered people subject to an extended genocide. Right. So when you look at the timeline for the indigenous Americans, that was 300 years of genocide. They ain't trying to enslave them people. They were wiping them out. So now look at them. Their numbers are like gone, right? The ones who are there are very much watered down, and
I'm still a believer that the indigenous people were us anyway.
well, that's fair, that's fine, but I can't deny how many of us came on boats.
I mean, I'm not denying that either, but I just think
we
we're
were
already
bred,
here,
right? But I'm just saying that our stories are not the same. Even if you have indigenous Africans here, that's not the same as Africans who were imported
no,
as
it's not.
property. But
I think we'll talk about that's a different story for a different day.
My point I'm making is we're the two groups, right? And we're also the two at the very bottom. And every time you try to raise yourself up, they attack it because they're attacking the idea. They're attacking the idea of us being on par.
That's because we're the same people. We're not different. We're the same people. That's why I feel like we're same. You made a point. That's the point you made. Because the reason, I don't think that indigenous people are any different from us because we're just the ones they brought over. And those are the only niggas that was already here. So you know what? We just gonna kill them all. Just kill them all.
Because they knew the land and they kept running away and they wouldn't. Yeah.
The ones that we couldn't catch the nations that were already here. Just kill them. The ones that we brought, we can control them because they need us to feed, food, all that stuff. We brought them from another country. These people are already. This is just like any type of guerrilla warfare, right? The people that already they know where to hide. They know what the earth can.
That's why America couldn't beat Vietnam.
Exactly. So that's exactly what happened here. So that's why my pushback is like they were already here. We were the same niggas.
I can't argue that particular. We could have a whole conversation on it, but the larger point I'm with you on, right? But what I was getting at is economically in the American caste system, we sit at the bottom, right? There's only one group below us, and that's the indigenous American. And if you're saying that we're the same, and we down there at the bottom together.
Yeah, that's like yeah, exactly. One A and one B. That's what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
that's what it is.
So, to me, though, I still say, and this is so hard. This is so hard, man. We are a conquered people, and because we have separated amongst ourselves, so like Black people like me and you, we're, in a manner of speaking, the entry point to a whole different class of Black people. And those at us and up do not consistently and reliably see themselves in those below. So the lived experience of the vast majority of Black people in America is shit. All right. You don't have good schools. Why don't you have good schools? Well, there's a lot of reasons you don't have good schools. Big part of it is how they play with property taxes and decide how the money flows. Right?
Yeah, the redlining. We know all about that.
And then how they steer teachers in and out, right? So you don't get the best teachers anymore, right? But then we have cultural decay and cultural rot where we don't even appreciate education because we look at education and a lot of us are like, well, what has that done, right? So you got all of that happening at the same time. But still, from where we are, it's like you got two choices. Die off or fight back, right? So I'm interested in how do we fight back, right? So for me, if we're talking in the political lens, I am for a withdrawal from the Democratic Party. I don't think it serves us at all anymore. But the alternative to doing that is, and I'm still fighting through this idea. I'm dropping a video tomorrow that I just did about this, but I'm still fighting through some of it. But it's either we join one of these third parties, help take it over, and draw more people from the proverbial left that are disgusted with the Democratic Party, pull them over there so that the Democratic Party at least loses some of its luster, I guess you could say. Or we build a block. You start building blocks, right? So let's say you live in the city of Atlanta and I live in the city of Lawrenceville, right? So we develop voting blocks in each of these different cities where we have our own internal council, we have our own meetings, kind of like if you've ever been to a Democratic Party meeting, because they have those all the time. Things like that. You go to those. They're at a county level. They're at a city level. We can do that. There's nothing that says we can't do it, right? And we say, okay, well, for my community, here are the big things that we're interested in. We have our debates. We have our discussions. We pick our representatives of who we want to do this and do that. And then we go ahead and we say, all right, well, we're going to partner with this group over here. We're going to partner with the Latinos over here on this issue and there. And then we're going to run a candidate. And then boom, now we got the local mayor, or now we got the I don't know, one of the judges, right? Small pieces. You can literally capture a lot of these elections with like a couple dozen thousand votes.
Yeah, a couple 1,200 votes.
Yeah, for less than 20,000 people, you can literally take over local elections and some state elections, right? We can do that. It will take some time. It'll take some work. But we could do that.
So that's kind of what I was thinking about, but I was thinking like more of and I have a two-frame thought for this. I have to think about what would the average mother of 2 kids or a small family that's struggling to go through it, how are they going to be able to engage at that local level and understand the importance of engaging on that local level, that it's going to be viable for them to say, hey, I need to leave work a little early, or I need to go to this city council meeting because it's going to affect what happens with me. Like, it's not just to say, like, how is it going to affect, like, what this person said they're going to do for me, but how is it going to affect what I'm paying at the grocery store? How is it going to affect what my rates are on my electricity bill? How is it going to affect how much car insurance I'm paying? How do you make it that relevant to them so that makes it worth them going? Because what the Democratic Party has always done is this highbrow view that we need to do at the national level, but then there's disregard all the shit that happens at the local level.
100%.
So
ways
how do you make it palatable for that mother, that father that's working 2 jobs? He
already works. It still comes out.
Trying to make ends meet. Trying to make them ends meet. What is he? What? How do you make him say, okay, I need to? That's really who we have to get to.
Yeah, and that right there is where you could touch real power, regardless of race, right? So how will we do it, right? I think, and I haven't figured out the mechanics to it because I haven't really put my mind to it, nor have I been as active as I need to be. But I do.
It's a long game. Either way, it's a long game. It's not a short game.
It is a long game, but it also can be a little short too. It could manifest inside of 18 to 24 months. So
and we have coalitions, and we have group out against the coalition, like the Mexicans come over and they help. They realize the importance of it. The Indian culture, Indian people come over.
We do it.
Asian,
But we do it as partnerships and defined projects. We can't just do this all in. We in here doing this together. Can't do it. But we've been burned so many times. So that's where I'm saying you build that coalition among Black people, for example, right? And you're not going to get everybody. Let's go ahead and preface that right now. I ain't talking about everybody. I'm talking about a dedicated 20%. You ain't never going to get over 30, 40%. Let's just be real.
You're right.
So
we didn't get all Black people.
Exactly. So you build that determined few, because most people are followers. So if you can give them something that shows that it works, people will follow, which is part of the answer to your question. So let's go with school board. All right. So we got an overworked mother trying to just make things happen. We got an overworked dad who's just trying to support his family or trying to make sure he got enough child support money moving, right? It's got all this stuff going. All right. So here's what you do, or one of the things we can do. We have retirees in our community. Right? They're done working. They're 60 years old, chilling, right? What you can do is that single mother, that hardworking father, that single man just trying to make it out, try to figure it out, but they don't have flexibility in their schedule to be showing up somewhere at 3:30 in the afternoon. All right. But what they can do is meet with that 60-year-old person and you create your own little pod, right? It ain't like got to be huge. Your own little pod. It's like 6, 7, 10 of y'all, whatever. And you're like, well, look, we're going to put together the money to make sure to pay you for your time of going to the meeting. We need you to take notes and record what's going on. We need you to speak on these issues, right? And we come to those agreements together. And then next thing you know, that 60-year-old, that retiree is the one who goes to the city council meeting. And you send a bunch of them because they got the time to do it, right? Or you got business owners that you can work with who will play the exact same role, who can be there. So there's ways to do it. We just got to decide we want to do it. And the reason I know it can work is because I've watched it happen by way of the NAACP. At the local level, NAACP, when I used to go to the meetings, I would go to just, me find me, but I would be there. And this is back when, we worked for Moxie. I had time. So I would be there and I would notice that the NAACP would have 1 or 2 representatives in all the voting meetings and all the city council meetings that I was going to. So we can replicate that. All right. So now when Antoine goes to the meeting, Antoine is speaking directly with the direct consent of like 10 of us. Right. So then when it is time to really have to do something, we know it's coming. We can organize around it. And now we can say, okay, we need, out of the 10 of us, we need 5 of us to be able to go to this place on this day at this time. And so you need
in order for to do that. In order for it to do that, though, I think it also has to be legislatively mandated. Because the reason I say it needs to be legislatively mandated, like it has to have some teeth to it. Like it has to have some power. Like it needs to almost be a level like when I worked for the Collaborative Authority, right? The Collaborative Authority required, like it was an outside party. We were an outside party that controlled the county government's discretionary fund, right?
Okay.
So this gave us, this required all the other social service departments to come to the table with us, because if they wanted their discretionary fund that the county had, they had to come see us.
Well, what I'm saying works with what you're saying,
right?
But you don't have to be organized at the part I was talking to, right? So at the part I'm talking to is you're organized as peers and as a group, as a local, friends, associates, neighbors. Out of that, you can create the structure you're talking about.
Well, like you're saying, so that my community board consists of those teachers, those administrators that are in the school. They were discussing their problems, their issues within the community.
Right.
I, as a representative of that community, will go to the commissioners who would legislate on a local level of those issues. What needs? That's how when I was young, that's how we got the recreation centers we needed for the kids. That's how we got the senior citizens for the kids through a 1% sales tax.
And what I'm saying to you is, doing what you're doing, you need the people, right?
Right.
And part of the question you posed to me was
community leaders.
Busy people can't go.
Right.
So I'm saying, here's how you get more people to join your collective you're talking about, because now that one person who joined your collective represents 8 people.
Right.
But because
exactly.
of the schedule, they couldn't be there.
Right. Exactly. So, or that community, or even it can be even structured through homeowners associations.
Yeah, we ain't got a whole lot of Black folks who got homes to have homeowners associations. And when you start talking to our community who are qualified, the Black folk, this is my experience, my direct experience.
No, you're right. You're right.
They ain't trying to do nothing.
Right. They're just trying to keep their house. They're not trying to be up there doing nothing.
They're not joining no club. They not.
Yeah, they don't want nobody coming. They don't really want nobody to come and see their shit anyway.
Yeah, they me all the way.
But that's the part of it, though.
It is, but people are. I still go back to people are followers, and if you can show them some level of success, you will see your numbers grow naturally, just because people want to be part of something that's winning. So the first people, the vanguard group, are going to have to be willing to go do the work to get the win, right? So if I'm representing those people, like we were saying before, and I'm coming back to them because we have a Zoom meeting or something once every 2 weeks, and I say, hey, this is what happened in the meeting, and this is this, and this is this, and then we talk about it, we debate about it, and all that. You're like, all right, well, Theus, that's good, but I need you to go back. I need you to say this, and then I go back and I say this. Well, then the next thing you know, you're gonna have somebody else who steps up and says, yeah, Theus, I'm gonna come with you. I got this day off, right? And the energy will move, but we have to start doing something before we'll ever be able to say what works or doesn't work.
I do agree. What I do agree about what you're saying is that the retired community is definitely a resource that we underutilize in our community that we had used before, but we don't use anymore.
Correct.
Like we kind of switched them out to pasture, and I know my mom is retired, now. My father's retired, stuff like that. But there's a lot there in the small community groups. My dad has like little gatherings with young men to come together, stuff like that. But there needs to be like when it comes to even like professionals who are like the AC man, the heat and the air man, the mechanic, giving back in those apprenticeship programs, so those young men, those young people can have someone to say, hey, I talked to a guy. He was like, I had an AC company. I've done it for a long time. I said, well, it would be good for you because he had lost his wife in COVID. He was looking for an outlet, a way to give back.
It's hard to find one,
and it's hard to find. There was nothing for him to plug into,
unless you want to join the church, and then you're going to be disappointed in how lackluster their efforts are because they only worry about what's inside the church for the most part,
and making money. Yeah,
it can be disheartening, but. And I mean, I've been holding you for a minute, bro. But the church, and this is a whole nother discussion that I would love to have with you guys later. But the church is something we have to tap back into. However we feel about it. I don't even go to church. I don't rock with that stuff no more.
Right.
But it is our greatest power center that we've had. So if there's anywhere that we can take over and reshape, it's the church because we own it.
Yeah, I mean that's the core. Our Black church is the core of our community, and plus that's where our women are at. It's gonna be hard getting the men there, because it's always hard for them getting men in church anyway because it's hard for us to go and idolize another man and try to be like. It all depends on how that so-called deity looks at himself.
Well, that's true.
We don't follow behind no man just talking about he's a flawed person, but he gonna act like he's a holier than thou person. That's not. That doesn't generate ourselves very good to us.
That don't work for me either because I'm the cat that'll be like, I'm gonna call you to. I don't care what they call you, preacher, minister, whatever. Don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call you overseer. Right? Overseer. I'm like overseer. Nigga, overseer to me.
Exactly. But here's the thing, though. Here's how you get more men in the church because I was once asked by leadership in my home church why I don't rock no more, and I was like, because there's no call to action, right? All we do is we come in here and we hear about a man who died a long time ago who ain't shown no miracles on our behalf, right. And since then, and even then it wasn't us. He wasn't in Africa. He was in like Middle East Africa, right? He wasn't like in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? So you can't tell me about this all loving guy who was okay with slavery. And okay with Jim Crow and okay, and then say, well, the prayers of the righteous avail as much. And I'm like, you telling me that none of the people praying earnestly throughout all those hundreds of years were righteous enough? Right. So that's where you lose, brothers.
Don't tell me when I ask you for money, don't tell me you need to pray about it.
Right.
When you ask me for money, you just want the money.
You want me to hand it to you. Right.
Exactly.
So, and God can work miracles, but he need my money. Right. But all those criticisms are valid in my view. But the brothers who do believe and are willing to go, they can be the ones who work with the pastor and the leaders of the church to open up the classrooms on a Saturday so that we can have public meetings. Right? They have the ear of the people who can open the doors to the resources that already exist in our community. New Birth is the only church I know. Pastor Jamal Bryant is the only one I know who is still doing that. There's not very many of him around like that do that. But he's been openly doing it. One, are they being asked to do it? That's one, and I don't think they really are.
They're not.
We don't have enough. Yeah, most of the people who are like us have turned away from the church. So we ain't
Right.
going to the church knocking on the door.
Right.
But when it comes to needing a meeting space, that's our first, to me, that's our first place. Because one of my biggest obstacles with building out my organization, I ain't got nowhere to go. Right.
But like you said, they don't open their doors to the community. They open their doors to the members only. It's like their own little country club they're cultivating. They're not cultivating.
They're afraid that you're gonna bring something up in there and cause trouble, right?
Or even dissension, or you're going to take them to somewhere else because their churches are not collaborative. They're very territorial.
And they don't want you to come in here and start your ministry so you can leave and take my
conversation. Exactly.
Especially when you come in and say that, I believe
when it boils down, you're taking money out of their pocket.
True, because any money you might raise is money that could have went to them. Even though they ain't using it but for salaries and insurance and rent. But all that aside, I'm just saying that is our natural first step, right? Second step or alternative would be those of us who make more money, whether it's because you got high salaries or you're an entertainer or an athlete or whatever. But there's nothing that says, especially when money is not that big of an issue for you, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to spend other people's money. I don't believe in doing that.
Right.
But if you have 5 people that earn $200,000 a year, right? That's actually, by the numbers, you just middle class.
Right.
You make $200,000 a year.
Both middle class now, sure.
Right? $1,000 is not a huge deal. I guarantee you, if you're making that amount of money, you blowing that is just for that's how you get, whatever. But you get a bunch of people and they do that. If the commercial real estate rent is $6,000 a month for a small meeting space, you have done your part. Even if you don't even come to the meeting, you can secure the spot where now there's a community meeting place. And now if you want to host your daughter's wedding because y'all ain't got no money, we already got a spot for you, right? You bring your own food. If you want to have a conversation about how do we help save our children, you got a spot, right?
Yeah,
we can do those types of things. We just haven't decided that that's what we want to do, right? And I know I've been holding on to this little pipe dream for so long, bro, because you know me. It's been like a decade. How many times have I been like, hey, well, let's come together and everybody give $10. But there has been some success. I can speak to it. Right?
Yeah.
We did the paying people's the school lunch fees. We did the stock in the school clinic, right? Just recently we were doing one where we just give out gift cards and pay for haircuts. Like we literally can do these things. It's not hard to do, but we have to show people what they're getting for it. We have to be transparent about it.
Right.
And then we build from there.
Yeah. I mean, it's small steps. It's small progressive steps that you have to take to get to those points. But I'm just like you said though earlier, it is very, I'm so disheartened because I feel like we're so apathetic to like this movement now. Like it's like Black people just went in, like they're either chasing the American dream, like I'm just trying to get rich, and fuck everybody else,
right.
Or money has become like we just need money. Like I just saw somebody like Black people were online earlier talking about the meme coin that Donald Trump had and like how they made 463 more millionaires if they had bought this coin.
Yes,
and that's all they cared about. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about like how this could be, what you're supporting. Like this is like a clan coin essentially. Yeah. Like support about.
That's because we've gotten we're lazy. I'm just go ahead and put it out there. We're lazy. So we're not looking at how do you build something that lasts, because what America tells you is you just got to move fast, right? So you're gonna have that. Like you're gonna have that, and many of those people you can't build with. Many of those people you can't do nothing with. You got to understand that, right? You got to be willing to say, "Hey,
and it's
here's what I'm working on," and they'll be like, "Nah," and they'll be like, "Okay."
It's the young people though. It's not the old people. The old people know, but the young people are like get rich. They're trying to get rich as quick as possible. That's all they care about.
Because what else are they left with, bro? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They watch their older siblings and they watch their parents trying to do it the quote unquote right way.
30, 40 years. Yeah.
Anything to show for it. So of course for them it's gonna be, man, I just gotta get what I can get. And if somebody else got to lose out, oh well. And if you really pause and think about it, that's the exact same mentality that we had coming up in the 90s in the drug culture. Right?
Yep.
You're gonna have addicts and you're gonna have dealers. I'd rather be a dealer than be an addict. I can't do nothing about it. Right? The drugs sell themselves, right?
Right.
It's the same mentality. You just moved it into the next generation. And so they're like, hey, I can't get a job because the job won't hire me if I don't have experience. And I can't have experience because you won't give me a job. The women, the ones that they're choosing to chase behind, they only want me if I got the money. So that means I got to go get the money. And if that means I got to, skim credit cards or I got to, do scams on the internet or whatever, then as long as I get mine, it's what it is, man. The young people are like that because they haven't been given any other options.
Right.
At the end of the day, they go and make it do what it do. Right.
Yeah. That's what remember my cousin were talking about that yesterday. We're talking about how we could reach the people, the young men in our family in Mississippi. And I had a conversation. We had like a little sit at the kitchen table kind of conversation. I was like, look, you guys are in Mississippi, if you became heat and air guys, right? Because, instead of y'all hustling on the streets or whatever, you did heat and air conditioning. Imagine how much y'all could make. Everybody here needs their air conditioner fixed or looked at in Mississippi. Who would the competition be?
I love that line of thought. I was watching a video. There's a builder. He has a video series and he was talking about that. But here's my pushback, bro. You can't sell somebody that dream if you can't show them how to get paid. Right. And when I look at it, there's not a lot of black plumbers that we can go put our fingers on that's getting hired. They may have all the skills. They could be a plumber, they could be an HVAC, they could be whatever it is. But is the general contractors who are getting the main deal, are they calling on the black, specialists?
Some of them are. Some of them are.
But what I'm saying, those are usually your flippers, right? Which is good. If you can get it, you can get it. But what I'm saying is, when we're pushing them down that line, we also have to do it with our eyes wide open, right? Because these young people are smart. They gonna think to the next step, right?
But you're right. But like that's what I was saying. Like here, like in this situation, we call the plumber, we call the HVAC dude, and we told him, say, hey, tell these boys how, because my uncle does flips. My cousin, he does flips and stuff like that. So he was like, tell him how much you made last year. And when that man told him I made $385,000, you know what I'm saying? They were like, what?
But are they ready to do the work?
And it was like, you ain't got, but they was like, but you ain't got no this, you ain't got no that. He was like, nah, bro, why would I do that? Why would I do? I got a truck. That's all I need.
Why look like success when I am success?
Exactly. What you see here, I'm the success. You see it.
To do that, I'm not saying give up on anybody. What I am saying is we have to be realistic about what we're doing and how we're coming into it. So to get to those young guys, you got to get to them in middle school, right?
Yeah.
You got to get them attracted to the idea of owning their own business and calling the shots. You got to get them to be like, oh, so wait a minute. All I got to do is learn how, like, this is how you make math make sense to a young person. So if you understand how 90 degrees and 45 degrees work, and you understand the basics of how different materials work, you can make a killing framing renovations and framing houses. You ain't got to
be that part.
Nothing, right?
Just do that part,
right. So we have to, and that's something I would love for us to get into, as far as like how we take this further with the community.
Or do drywall.
Because I'm about to do a project in my house, and I am like,
hold up. You can paint lines on parking lots.
Yes.
And make $100,000-$200,000 a year.
You can be the pressure washer for small businesses.
Yeah.
Keeping their walkways and their storefronts clean. Like there's different things to do, but one of the things is we have to do a better job of building businesses within our community for those of us who can do it, right?
Right.
Those of us who have the credit and have the experience or have the social networks, we need to put those to use for people beyond just ourselves. So you got, and I'm trying to leave it here because I'm trying to do this out of respect, bro. But I use an analogy in one of my recent videos about the barbershop because I'm all about collective action, man. I believe that when you don't have a lot of money in your community, you can take small amounts of money in that community to do some bigger things. So let's say you got the barber up the street and he charges $300 a month in booth rent. Then the community itself can come together and be like, you know what? We're going to pay the booth rent for 6 months for that barber right there. Right? You have now taken $300 a month of overhead off of a new barber. So that person can now buy better equipment. Hell, it can help them with their rent. They can help them with their kids' clothing. I don't care what they do with it. This is the community. Each of us ain't put together but $20, maybe $25, right? That person that you just took that money off of is a business. They're entrepreneurial minded anyway. That's why they're cutting hair. Next thing you know, that person gets their own clientele built up from cutting hair for a while. They go start their own spot. You now have 2 business owners in your community. See what I'm saying? Like, that's just one aspect of it. But my big point is we can do so much more than what we're doing. We just choose not to.
Yeah, we don't, because we're chasing our own dreams, our own aspirations. It's about us making our own money. Yeah. Instead, we're the only community that doesn't look at the collective of how to make money together.
Yes, we are. In my opinion, I think we're the only ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and small groups we might do it, like family, something like that. We might do it.
We don't even want to do it for family.
And it's sometimes, like I was about to put a caveat on that. Sometimes we do it. Like you might find them, but you might find a 1 or 2 that might do it. But on a collective, like we're not gonna, because like I try to work with Black business owners and stuff like that, and but I'll be honest with you, sometimes they don't want to work with me, right? You know what I'm saying? True.
They don't have the business experience. First of all, let's go ahead and couch this. A lot of Black people who start a business, they do it because they don't want to work for somebody else. It's not that they understand how business works or anything like that, but that is also where some things can be made. There's inroads that can be made, and everybody ain't gonna be up for what I'm about to say. But similar to what I just said about the booth rent, instead of giving it to the person for the booth rent, you go to the owner of that same shop. You say, well, look, I want to see you succeed. All right. So I'm going to invest in you $500 a month. But here's the kick. I need you to apprentice one. I'm going to bring you a kid that I need to have apprenticed here. I'm not bringing them here just to sweep the floor and all that. They'll help out and do that thing. But I want you to teach them how to run a business.
Yeah.
Right? So even if the barber doesn't truly understand how to run business, he's in business. Right.
Now, see that idea right there. I think that's an idea that I know it's WDB, it's each one teach one, but I think those type of programs in our community, because we have the entrepreneurial success or the professional, whatever they might want to be. We have to do a better job at showing our youth that there's another alternative other than crime, entertainment,
and being a kid. Yeah.
Or being a stick or any of that, or being an athlete. You know what I'm saying? We have to show them there's other opportunities. Like I'm about to go. We're about to have a celebration. My cousin retired from the NFL, and he retired. He says, I'm retired because I can still play. I'm only 30 years old. I'm retired because I saw that I could make more money. He's like, I made half my salary last month that I'm making in the whole NFL right now. Right? He's like, I made that in the stock market.
I said, well, money provides more opportunities.
Right. And I was like, well, Bradley, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm going to tell you, say his name, but my conversation with him was like, we should talk to our other little cousins and stuff like that, you have trucking companies, you have, rental properties and stuff like that. You have high-end properties in Miami, in Houston, stuff like that. Show them how to do it. Show them how to work for you, or show them how to make something happen.
But it's hard for him to do that, bro. I'm gonna tell you now.
It is. No, it is hard.
People are gonna come to him like they can spend his money.
Exactly. So I'm saying
that's why I talk small dollars. That's 100% why I say small dollars.
So my point is not to ask him for his money though. My point is to show him the opportunity. Like he doesn't have. I'm not telling him to put his money up. I'm talking about let them see. It's almost like show them what the possibilities. Like it doesn't take you any money to show them how to do stocks. If you know how to do stocks and you're showing them, expose them to that.
Yeah, I agree.
Expose them to that. That's what I'm talking about, the exposure. I'm not talking about put your money up, because I don't think that's even fair for him to do, because why should he? He earned his money his way. No one was in taking those hits with him. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody was doing, practicing 12 hours a day. Nobody was doing it. But I still, all right, because this is why I say, I don't spend other people's money.
And he's gonna be a good one, because an athlete like that would be a good one, because he's saying, look, I was that. Right? I was that athlete. I made those millions, right? But I'm telling you, even though I had those millions, I probably could have made more millions. I got another contract. This was a way I saw that I could make those same amount of money and not have to put my body on the line, not have to put my health on the line. You know what I'm saying? I'm making more money now doing what I'm doing. Right?
I understand. But what I'm saying to you is, I agree with you. That's what we're saying. But just going down that next angle, because the reason he can do the moves he's about to make is because he made the money that he made, and he made that money because he was a great athlete. So now this is just where the kids are going to go. So I need to be a great athlete so I can get in the position to do. But
that's where he tells them, like, look, I'm showing you how to do this. I'm gonna show you to play with just doing $1,000.
Yeah, so you can skip all that. I'm with you.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, we need those brothers, like you're saying, like your cousin. We need them out there doing those things. And he'll find his way of how he wants to do it, especially with your counsel and help. But I'm saying that mentality, we just got to get it out there, because there's a lot of people who want to do something. Like me, I'm intentioned on doing these things. I've been trying my best to do some of these things for over a decade now. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to figure out where you land and stuff like that. So imagine the people who are like me, who don't know where to get started.
You just have to plug in with something small. Like you said, it's a small step. It might only be 15 boys. It may only be 10 boys. It might be, if you can plug in with an organization that's already plugged into that area, don't duplicate the work. Just get with them. Multiply their effort. Don't, because a lot of times what I used to see when I was in social services is that everybody had a great idea, right? But you got 15, 20 great ideas that are all doing the same thing, right?
And nobody getting anything done. Yep.
Yeah, so when you're asking for, and then you're asking for the same resources, the same pool of resources to do them for it. So on an overall big picture, like, why would I give y'all 15 organizations that are all working with young boys to, $100,000 each? You know what I'm saying? Why not y'all work together? Y'all take y'all 100,000 and have $1 million, and have a bigger impact on the boys.
I'll tell you why. We both know why.
Because it's turf garden.
It's not just turf garden. It's not even just the gatekeeper.
It was turf garden.
Which it is that. It is that. But
it was turf garden.
But it's also.
And then you like you said, it was lazy too, because that happened too.
Well, but the other thing I was going to say though is, you have a great idea and you're passionate about that idea. So you take it and you go to this other nonprofit that's already established, or this other social organization that's already established.
Yeah.
But the mentality of your typical businessman, is to take advantage. So you just brought your heart and soul, the thing that you're willing to do, and not make no real money off of it for however many years it takes, because you just want to help save some lives. And people take advantage of that. They see that as weakness, and they say, "Okay, come on, you can do that program here. I got you. I already got the space. You just come on and do that." And then 6 months later,
and it's appropriation of funds.
Somebody took your program.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? and they don't need you anymore. Or worse yet, or not even worse yet, but on another side, you can't make any money. You can't afford to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the write-offs. He gets the write-offs, right?
Yep.
So it's like there's so many barriers in there, and then on top of that, you got to find each other. You got to find each other, and it's hard to find those movers because I have found, and this is anecdotal, but when I try to talk to some of these movers, their head is so far up their ass. They don't want to talk to
You're right. You're exactly right. I saw that when I used to work with this organization in Jonesboro, a great organization, a great man ran it, but he was very controversial in the area, right? I don't want to name his name because he is a very polarizing figure, but I loved him. He was a good guy. But he had a project that was geared towards the youth. But his project, even though
he used to
his
be a
project
sheriff,
was, huh?
He used to be a sheriff.
No, he wasn't sheriff. No. He used to go at sheriff though. He used to be an attorney, so he used to go at them though. But
I was being funny, man. I was talking about
no, he was hell. He was hell at the attorneys. He was hell on the community events. Like we're talking about the community boards and the commissioner. Oh, he was the truth teller. He was the Jasmine Crockett of these events. No, he would talk about especially the school board at the time when Clayton County was going through a lot of turmoil in their school and almost lost their accreditation. I don't think they lost their accreditation.
They did lose it at one point.
Yeah, he was the truth. He was like, if y'all would stop sleeping with each other, like, oh wow, like because it was at that time it was a white man that was dating a black woman that was on the school board, but he was making all the call. The white man was making all the calls on the school board members because it was an organization called Mace. It was called Mace. I'll just say that shit. So, but he had put his people, his coalition on the board. So they had 3 or 4 Mace members on the board, and this particular person would call them to order all the time.
And that's part of the problem. It gets corrupted, and that's why. And we've been taken advantage of so many times. That's why it's hard to get that trust. Yeah. It's hard to get that trust. But hey, I'm gonna pull this one in.
All right, my boy.
But yeah, let's get together and talk some more, man. Because what I know one of the things we were going to talk about was the political thing, but we really got into some of the inner workings of why we are where we are, right?
Yeah.
But I am interested in the past.
It's just where are we at this point as a whole, as a black community? Like, where are we at? It's saddening to me because I feel like every opportunity we had to push forward, it's stop, Nala. All those opportunities to push forward, it has been taken away from us. Social media has been taken away. So the ability for us to communicate with each other, we go out to vote. I don't even and then today's been like I tried not to watch TV today.
I didn't watch none of it.
I didn't try to watch none of it. But then I just took a quick scroll on my social media, right? And then I see Elon Musk throwing up the Hitler sign. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. Look, if I can leave you with anything on all of that, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. We've already lost that battle, right?
Yep.
There's no sense in trying to fight a battle you already lost. Now you need to prepare for the battle that you can fight, right?
The next one, yep.
Exactly. So for me, that's where all of this is coming in. Is we've already lost that fight. We fought the fight. I don't think we fought it very well, and so we lost, right? But it's not over. As long as you got breath, it ain't over. So now you got to say, okay, well, what worked well, what didn't work well?
Yes.
How do we make a pivot? Maybe it's not what we did was wrong, but we didn't do it the right way, and all these different things. That's where we are now.
Exactly. We need to find out what, like you said, what worked in the past, what we need to look at, how to protect our gains and how to move forward. Like that's really what it is.
And we have to be willing to have a sober mind and reverse engineer where we're trying to go.
Yes.
For example, if you say you want criminal justice reform, let's just say that we want to do a better job because we know that they're taking the reins off of the police. Okay. So on the federal level, now Trump doesn't have control of local police, but he has control of the people who filter down to it. Right. So if you really, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna back up just a little bit. One of the things you brought the point up like 2 or 3 times about social media. First of all, we didn't own any of that. Okay,
fan base.
We own it.
Right? We own that. That's it.
Right. So we were on borrowed space anyway. And if we were paying attention, we already would have watched when the people in China were having an unrest. What did they do? They turned off their social media. When people in where was the other one that happened? I can't remember where it was, but they turned off the social media, right? So we know, and we were always under surveillance.
The government turned it off. The government turned it off.
Yeah, the government's literally was suspending it. So, and if you think China can turn off your Facebook, but America can't, you done lost something.
Oh, you know that. We know that. We know that.
We were always borrowing someone else's space, and this is the thing. This is why I left social media. We have this tool. We didn't use it as a tool.
Yeah,
we just in there hee and kikiing and hooking up and being messy,
sharing the worst parts of us.
Exactly, but with
then the algorithm started showing that. Then the algorithm started showing the worst part of us.
Yeah, and then if someone like me comes in and we're like, "Hey, well, let's have this conversation," and we have it right now, just like texting and talking and all that. Don't nobody want to be there. It's crickets, right? Yep. But if I say something about Snoop, all of a sudden I'm gonna have everybody, right? So,
or what happened on Love and Hip Hop, or
so we had the space. We chose not to use it that way. So them taking it away, that ain't no real loss to us because we weren't using it, right? But like I was telling people before this administration change, this is one of the things that's going to happen. It's going to make it a lot harder for us to organize. It's going to make it a lot harder for us to interact with each other, right? Because social media was one of the only ways we could kind of bounce each other because we all hide in our homes now. So everything about improving our situation is now harder. So that just means we have to work harder. And at this moment, as a collective, our mindset has not changed to it's harder. We haven't gotten there. We are still trying to force ourselves to think everything is more or less the same.
I think some of us just giving up. I think a lot of the community is just giving up, especially the young people.
Well, the young people, they give up because they don't have any leadership.
Yeah, I mean,
right? That's our fault. That is our fault.
But then we've teared down our leadership once the soon they get we're not allowing them to be human. You know what I'm saying? We're expecting them to be perfect people in order to lead us, and that can't happen.
My favorite example in recent time would be Ice Cube. You see, but his mistake was nobody sent him.
Yeah, he sent himself. He put it on himself. Right. He put it as a celebrity, like he knew as a millionaire, well-off celebrity that he knew was still
to be sent.
Yeah.
So we should learn.
And then, I appointed myself to have the black agenda. Who you talk to?
Right, but he probably did talk to people. But the problem is you didn't build consensus before you got out there. So the first time most of us saw you was there, and we're like, whoa, bro.
It needs to come. Like I thoroughly believe that for us, it could come through our media people, through our social, through our
influencers and
our influencers. But I'm not, but like more of our media people that push back,
like
they'll say that ask questions, like Roland, like like Jackie, like a lot of our social, like
that one guy, Marco Hill. You got a lot of people.
Emil Boykin, all these people pushing
the problem
back.
Is we have a purity issue where we want everybody to be perfect, like you said. But I think this is something I'm wrestling with because I view myself to be the caliber of person who could be a leader. I'm just not there yet. So understanding that if you're willing to step out there and be that kind of personality, you will be hated. Right? You're gonna be hated by people you trying to take care of.
You'll be picked out. Yeah, you'll be picked out. You will definitely be picked apart.
Right. So just understand that and understand that you're with somebody until you're not. So In Malcolm's time, people weren't rocking with Malcolm. It was
No.
when he died, all of a sudden everybody started waking up. Martin, same thing, right? Your mystique, your major influence happens after you're gone, but your hard work happens when sometimes ain't nobody clapping for you. You know, so
that's why I say you have to be the voice of dissension and be okay with that. You have to be the voice that said, no, like I said, you hit upon something like you will be hated by people, but it also depends on how you
there's no right way,
bro. Present yourself. Yeah, how you present yourself.
There's no right way, bro.
You're gonna face the criticism, but I think there's also a level of vulnerability you have to be a leader, though. You have to tell yourself, you have to show you're like, I'm no like I know you have your heroes. My hero is Baldwin. So I like James Baldwin because I liked what he said. He was like, I'm he spoke. His vulnerability was very apparent.
Yeah, mine is Kwame Ture, but that's my number one, right? But Jimmy's on my list for sure.
Yeah, dope. He spoke the truth. He spoke the truth. Like when he said, "How much time do you need?" Like really, like what that question is such like a provocative question. Like we waited all the time you need. We give you decades. We give you centuries. How much more time do y'all need to get it right?
And so let me make this point, and then I'm gonna give it to you so we can shut it down. But this takes us back to part of what I've hit on a few times. Like we were saying, how much time do you need, right? Why should we settle for progress when change will do, right? But the same people who are tired of waiting, the same people who are disappointed in the caliber of leadership that we've had, the same people that are tired of getting crumbs, aka progress, when they should be getting change, aka a loaf, if they're not also willing to work, why should anyone listen to you?
Well, so I think that's the key question.
I don't give a lot of credence to people who say they're tired and they're not willing to do the things that would make you tired.
The key thing that you said though is that you said that you have to work, but that's the key problem. Is like when you said before, you have the aspiration to do leadership, to be a leader, but knowing what direction to go in, that's the work, right?
That's the work.
We may be willing to do the work, but we don't even know what the work is. We don't know what that work is.
Bro, I have learned so much in the last year because this is when I've actually finally started to like not just be on here, but actually be out talking to people and doing things. And I still haven't quite landed on all of my pathways, but I'm learning something new every time I'm out there, right? So sometimes that's what it takes. You got to start doing something, right? You won't end up where you thought you were going to end up.
You're right.
But you will never end up where you need to end up if you don't go anywhere. So,
right. Yeah, because we know the product. We know, like even in business, activity brings business. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out there and get active. So whatever that is,
the right marketing program.
No, don't worry about it. You know somebody, don't you?
Market.
Just try to talk to somebody about what your idea is. That's your marketing. It all starts organically and goes from there. But you know what I'm saying? Someone said today to me, if God gave you the idea, he also gave you the clients. So if God gave you the problem, he's also giving you the people that can solve the solution.
Yeah. Or as they say, as we grew up in the church, if he's giving you the vision, he's giving you provision. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, hey, bro, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here.
Yeah, that's a good website.
Yeah. I thank you so much, fam.
Man, thank you, man. Good.
Killer conversation, man. I enjoyed it. So, hey, I'm not sure, guys out there.
More to come, bro.
Yeah, it'll be more to come. I don't know when we're going to get back together on this. Maybe we might bring the whole family together. But I just want to thank everybody who's, watched us through this point. Drop your comments, give us your feedback. If you want to share, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Whatever on that. But thank you so much for tuning in. This is Complex Mind, Simple Man. Antoine, go ahead and tell them about yourself.
Hey, I'm Antoine Tucker. I'm a insurance investments and agency owner. Hit me up at 770-743-0122 if you have any needs for home insurance you're a builder and you need risk builder insurance, you need life insurance, car insurance, I'm your guy. I'm a black-owned business. I'm trying to make it out in this world. So come and support me if you will. I appreciate you. I'll give you 100% of my best. You know what I'm saying? And make sure I give you the best coverage I can for your family.
And what's your market?
My market is all of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? I do all of Georgia and Washington State as well. So those are my markets right now. But any in the metro area, you can reach me. Like I said, my office is at Perimeter. I'm at the Sterling Point building. You can come and visit me there if you like. But yeah, I'm here.
Right. So this is, hey folks, just so you know, man, I have known Antoine for years. This man is a genius in my book. If you want to understand not just what products to get, but why the products make sense and how it can help serve you and your family, right? This is the guy. So,
and life insurance in particular, because I believe that's for our community, is so important. Life insurance, most people think that's going to be costing hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You can get a life insurance policy for $25. You know what I'm saying? To take care and protect your family. That's one of the critical things that we have to do. So if that's something you're interested in, give me a call. I'd love to help your family, protect your family.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to get us together, man, so you have an opportunity to just talk people through some things. Like I said, I also have Black economics, and I think the critical need for insurance, life insurance, understanding your property and casualty insurance, the value of disability insurance, all these things are so critical and so approachable, can change our whole life.
All right.
So, hey, once again, thank you, everybody. Complex Mind, Simple Man. I'm just thinking out loud.